How's it going, guys? Happy Friday. In this series, which I call Observational Bullshitting, I go over what I've been up to, some current events, musical endeavors of mine, musical news, just sharing some things that I've been up to. So I'm continuing to explore the Helix. I've, at this point, completely switched over to the digital side of amplification. I don't even use my regular amplifier because if you want to get something done, you have to just fully, mentally, and physically transition into using that piece of gear. So I met up with a friend of mine who's a sound engineer, and we dialed in the EQ, the global EQ of the Helix. And what's funny is that the FRFR, which is supposed to be, this is my FRFR by Headrush. See this? It's like an industry standard. It's supposed to be this sort of like neutral amplification that does not color your sound in any way. It's just the true kind of representation of what it is. But in reality, this FRFR by Headrush actually is quite bass heavy. So if you are trying to figure out how to configure your newly acquired processor, try to run it on different setups. So run it through a PA, run it through your monitor, run it through an amplifier, run it through something else. So in my case, I determined that my FRFR is quite, like I said, bass heavy, and for me to not basically sound like And Justice for All, like that horrible guitar sound, I need to really dial down the bass frequencies. But the sound without the EQ is absolutely fine going to the front of the house. So that's what we did. We figured that much out. All right. I'm continuing, like I said, to dial in my patches. Each guitar sounds different and behaves differently. For example, my Strat, it cleans up very, very well compared to my Brian May guitar, for example. And there are quite a few volume discrepancies. When I clean up my sound on my Strat, it just loses that loudness, if it makes sense. So just a word of caution: if you are dialing in your processor, just try to figure out what the best kind of compromise is, so that you can, if you're planning on using multiple guitars, each one of them sound, comparable. You don't have volume jumps, because like with each I even remember when I was playing a show a while ago, and I was playing my Les Paul guitar, this one, and I broke a string, and somebody gave me another Les Paul guitar. It was so much louder, not gainier, right? You would think that, it's just having a louder signal would make your sound more saturated. It was just noticeably louder. So each guitar behaves differently, and it's important to kind of verify that everything is going to work. All right, I got my bonus, and I got myself this thing, which is a euphonium. And a euphonium is a weird instrument because, well, first of all, a euphonium is like a little tuba, right? It comes in the 3-valve or 4-valve variety. In this case, it's a 4-valve kind. Sometimes you have a 4th valve here, but it's on the top. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, what each valve does is it adds a length of tubing to your overall tube. And on each one of the tube lengths, you can play a harmonic series like this. you can extend that length of tubing by adding this piece. Then this piece. Both of them. Etc. And this fourth valve is the combination of 1 and 3, but slightly longer. So it's it's cool. It's very similar to the way a trumpet functions because it's the same exact combination. Like I can play my trumpet pieces no problem on this thing, except it's an octave lower, and the mouthpiece is obviously wider, larger. It needs more air. It's a Chinese-made instrument by Mendini that I got on Amazon, and I can't say enough good things about Mendini. It's a really, really good company. I got a pocket trumpet by Mendini, and it's amazing, amazing for $129 for that thing. This thing costs $500. Came with a case. But why did I get this thing? Why not, right? First of all. Second of all, I am so tired of playing third trumpet, fourth trumpet, but there's always a demand for lower brass instruments. For example, in this wind ensemble that I play in, we have something like 16 trumpets, and 2 euphoniums. So clearly it's fun, it's just, look at it, it's great. But the weirdest thing about a euphonium, which I had no idea about, is that it can act as a transposing instrument and not. Meaning that this instrument is tuned exactly the same way that the trumpet is tuned, just an octave lower. So I can play my trumpet side by side. Look, like this is my open G, right? Right? I can take my trumpet. Same exact thing. Same fingering. So on the trumpet, I call that a G. And on the euphonium, depending on where you live, you can call it a G or an F. So sometimes the music for euphonium is notated in treble clef in B flat, which means that you can play your trumpet music without doing any changes, right? Sometimes, now this is a European, this is like a British tradition. In American band music repertoire, it's notated in bass clef. In bass clef, you call the notes as they are in concert pitch. Here's another mindfuck. Brass instruments, like if I read a G, this is what I play. But what comes out of my horn is an F, a concert F. So if somebody tells me play a C, I need to transpose it in my mind and actually play a D on the trumpet, and it comes out sounding like a C on the piano. But if I'm reading American band music and somebody tells me play a C, I will play a C even though I'm fingering a D. I'm fingering a D, but I'm calling it a C. So it's bottom line, depending on your kind of where you live, you either play in concert pitch as written, or you transpose it. So it's complicated. I can't really wrap my mind around it yet. So that's it. Let's talk politics. The debates are. Last week's debate was fun. This week's debate is just like the Jerry Springer show. Joe Biden is senile. Completely. If you don't believe me, he said he's running for Senate. he said that half the, whatever, sad, really, really sad, and for, to all the people who think that he stands a chance being almost 80 and just with dementia are seriously fooling themselves. Anyway, so we have two millionaires, a socialist who thinks that healthcare is a human right, and billionaires. Yeah, whatever. Last topic: coronavirus. It doesn't hurt to go and stock up on water and non-perishables, some rice and beans and some frozen items. My advice is just go and buy some stuff, because the minute our infrastructure is disturbed, there'll be no food. If anybody remembers, during Sandy, it's like nothing really serious happened per se, but I remember waiting in line to get gas. Like, the line was around the block twice. There was nothing in the store, so just buy yourself some stuff. All right. Hopefully I did not confuse you too much with this euphonium stuff. Bye.